Hi there. Back to school. Good. Let's start with a review on different topics before we start with algebra. Our review will consist on going over divisions, divisibility rules, greatest common factor and least common denominator, and we will also go over fractions and mixed numbers. Reviewing. Divisions. Let's start with the first problem. A whole number by a whole number. First, let's round 81 to 80. And we know that 81 does not fit in 30, but it does in 300. So to get to the quotient, we need to round and say 8. How many times does it fit in the 30? Well, it fits 3 times. 3 times 1, 3. 3 times 8, 24. We subtract, we borrow, and get our next number down. The question is, how many times does the 8 fit into the 57? It fits 7 times. 7 times 1, 7. 7 times 8, 56. We subtract, we borrow, and get our next number down. How many times does the 81 fit into 81? Once. We multiply and subtract, and this is our answer, 371. Let's start our next problem. Dividing a whole number by a decimal. In this case, we have to move our decimal point once. That makes us move it also here, put our decimal point on the top and add a 0. We are going to round 7.8, now 78, to 80. And the question is, how many times does the 8 fit into 27? 3 times. 3 times 8, 24, and you carry 2. 3 times 7, 21, and 2, 24. 23. We borrow. And the next question is 8. How many times does it fit in 38? It is 4 times. So we multiply 3 times 8, 32, and you carry 3. 4 times 7, 28, and 3, 31. We subtract and put our next number down. In this case, we're going to ask, how many times does 8 fit into 70? It does 8 times, but since we're rounding a little bit high, we're going to use the 9. 9 times 8, 72, and you carry 7. 9 times 7, 63, and 7, 70. We subtract and get our next number down. So we don't have anything. Our answer will be this one. Let's start problem number 3. Dividing a decimal by a decimal. In this case, the first thing to do will be move this decimal point 2 spaces, so we also move this one 2 spaces. We place now our decimal point, and I'm going to take away these, and now we have these numbers to be divided. So 45 will be round to 50. We say, how many times does 5 fit into 36? Well, since we're rounding too high, we'll choose the 8. 8 times 5, 40, and you carry 4. 4 times 8, 32, and 4, 36. We subtract and get our next number down. 50 or 5, 50. How many times does it go in 22? None. We get our next number down. The question is, how many times does the 5 go into the 22? It goes 5 times. So we multiply. 5 times 5, 25, and you carry 2. 5 times 4, 20, and 2, 22. We subtract, and this is our answer. There are 3 ways to express a division: with a remainder, as a mixed number, and as a decimal. It will depend on the classwork, but most of the time we will be working with this one as a mixed number, though there will be some times that you will be asked to do it as a decimal. Let's do our first problem. And the first thing to do is to round the 36. We're going to do it rounding, putting it as a 40. The first question is, how many times does a 4 go into the 8? It goes twice. So we write the 2 on top of the 4. And we start multiplying. 6 times 2, 12. And you carry 1. 2 times 3, 6, and 1, 7. We subtract and get our next number down. The same question, 4. How many times does it go in 12? 3. So 3 times 6, 18. And you carry 1. 3 times 3, 9, and 1, 10. We borrow, we finish subtracting, we get the next number down. Our question is, how many times does the 4 go into the 15? And you will answer 3. Though we're going to try the 4 because we're rounding too low. The number, I mean, it's too low for the rounding. It's 40. So we're going to choose the 4. And we say 4 times 6, 24. 4 times 3, 12. And 2, 14. We borrow and subtract, and here's our first answer. 234, remainder 8. Our next answer is as a fraction or a mixed number in this case. And as you can see, both are divisible by 4. So I say this is my answer. If we want to make it a decimal, we add a 0 here, and we put our decimal point. How many times does a 4 go into the 8? It goes twice. So we multiply and subtract. My answer is 234.2. That is my decimal answer. And in my class, we're going to be using only one decimal. A second example. We're going to be dividing these two numbers. And the first thing that we're going to do is round up the 58 to a 60. And we're going to say, how many times does the 6 go into the 26? Well, it goes 4 times. So we put the 4, on top of the 2. And we say, how many times is 4 times 8? 32. We carry 3. 5 times 4, 20, and 3, 23. We subtract and get down our next number. We ask, how many times does the 6 fit into the 30? It does 5 times. So we multiply 5 times 8, 40, and we carry 4. 5 times 5, 25, and 4, 29. We borrow, in this case, and finish the subtraction. Get the next number down. The same question, 6, how many times does it go in 16? And our answer is 2. So we say 2 times 8, 16, and you carry 1. 5 times 2, 10. And 1, 11. We will subtract, and we already have our first answer with remainder, which is this one. The next one will be as a mixed number. And in this fraction, we can be able to reduce both by 2. So our answer will look like 24 and the half of 58 is 29. That will be our answer as a mixed number. And our answer as a decimal will be if I add a 0 and a 0 here and a decimal point there and make the same question. 6, how many times does it fit in 48? Well, it does 8 times. So we multiply and we get 464. We subtract, and this will be our answer as a decimal.